Good morning, mayors. Good morning, and welcome to the 79th winter meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I'm Elizabeth Kautz, Mayor of Burnsville, Minnesota, and Conference President. It is my honor to introduce the conference leadership on the dais this morning, and it appears that my leadership are absent. They're missing in action, but they'll be here. And Vice President Antonio Villaraigosa of Los Angeles will be here, and then we'll have our past presidents also, and I'll have the opportunity to introduce them when they arrive. So I also want you to meet and greet our CEO and Executive Director, Tom Cochrane. And mayors and business partners and guests, I will introduce our speakers as we move through our agenda. At this time, I would ask that we please stand for a moment of silence for the tragedy in Tucson less than 2 weeks ago. We pray for those who died, their families, and for Congresswoman Gifford and all those who are recovering. Please be seated. This past Monday, our nation honored the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. And tomorrow, we will celebrate the 50th anniversary of the inauguration of President John F. Kennedy and his call to public service. Our great nation has progressed on so many levels since the day when these two leaders were taken from us. But there can be no doubt that we will have a road to travel. It is now my heartfelt honor to introduce our colleague and friend, Tucson Mayor Bob Walkup. Mayor Walkup has been a strong and active member of this organization and a thoughtful leader within the city that he serves, his state, and the nation. He is helping his community heal and is promoting a message that will strengthen our nation and prevent future tragedies. Mayor Walkup brought to our officers, myself, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, who is now arrived, our Vice President, Mayor Nutter of Philadelphia, and our CEO and Executive Director, Tom Cochrane, the idea for a civility accord. Mayor Walkup well understands the power of mayors to bridge divide, speak the truth, and create lasting change. Following his remarks, we will sign a statement of principles that I strongly believe will be another defining moment in the history of our Conference of Mayors. Mayors, friends, please welcome Tucson Mayor Bob Walkup.
Well, thank you very much. What I'd like to do for my 10 minutes that has been allocated to me is talk a bit about the tragedy in Tucson, the perspective of a mayor, and I'm talking to mayors, so we're all in this thing together, this tragedy within our communities that we prepare for, but we never know when it's going to happen. What I'd like to do is in 3 parts. I'd like to talk about the event itself for a brief moment. Many of you know the exact details, but I want to maybe give you some insight into what I saw and what I heard and how I felt and what the community felt. Then I want to talk about the president's speech. And I'm going to clip a bit of his speech because I think it is the finest speech I have almost ever heard anybody give at a time. And we had some 30,000 people in the city of Tucson that was listening to that speech. And it changed what happened to Tucson. And then I want to end by talking about the civility accord that is going to be brought to you for you to consider, and what it means. And the president set the stage for the civility accord. He said, it is time. It is time for us as a nation to come together. Well, let me talk about the event. The event started at 10 minutes after 10 in the morning, Saturday morning on the 8th of January. Gabrielle Giffords, who is a very great friend of mine, she and I have done things in the city of Tucson together for years and years. Just after Christmas, we were out there in front of the Fry's grocery store in Tucson. We had these little bells, right? We had these funny little hats, and we had little hats that we were wearing and ringing for the Salvation Army. And I had challenged her and said, I bet I can raise more money than you can, right? So she was not afraid to be out in the public side. But at 10 minutes after 10 in that morning, a lone gunman came out of the grocery store and approached the gathering that was there to honor Gabrielle Giffords. He shot 32 times in 15 seconds. And if you know anything about guns at all, how hard that is to do. But in 15 seconds, 19 people lay on the ground. Now came the heroes. And the heroes came from all over. There were passerbys. There were people that were shopping in the store. 19 people down. 5 were dead. And they went to work. I talked to one of the doctors that was shopping with his wife, that is a nurse. They immediately went into triage to help those that they could help. He told me, he said, I've been in many instances like this, but there was an eerie silence in that area. Nobody was crying out. Nobody was saying, help me, I'm dying. Nobody was screaming in pain. It was dead silence. They were all helping each other. The wounded were helping the wounded, which were next to them or falling on top of them. That's what was going on. Two gentlemen, at the right, precise moment, tackled the shooter, dropped him to the street. A woman that was down there, injured, reached over and picked the clip because he was trying to load it again. He had 100 shots that he was prepared to fire. And if he could do 32 in 15 seconds, it was not going to end there. And she grabbed it. Now there's a struggle. And I talked to the men that held him down. They said, we were not letting him up. And he was struggling to get up. She went over and sat on his legs. Now another guy showed up, and we had 4 people that were going to make sure that it stopped there. Within moments, the sheriff arrived at about 10:15. The sheriff sealed the area. Then the paramedics arrived. And then the ambulances and the medevacs and the helicopters, they were all called. They arrived in the scene. They were doing medical services for the people that were down. Then they started moving them out to the hospitals that had been automatically notified of the tragedy of the moment. University Medical Center, the triage and the trauma area for the city of Tucson, the docs were ready and waiting when the first person arrived. Everybody knew exactly what to do. And I'm proud of our community's ability to be able to respond to such a horrific event. Now let me tell you about mayors. I was notified at 20 minutes after 10. I had 3 words. Gabby's been shot. And for mayors that are involved with these kinds of trauma, you know exactly what to do. It's kind of built into mayors. Whether it's a hurricane or it's a tornado or it's a fire, a flood, whatever it is, we know what to do. I said, I'll see you at the office. My office is 8.5 minutes from my home. I was in my office, I gathered my people, I said, man the phones. A lot of people are going to be calling. I went to the hospital. I got there at about 10:40. The police were already there. I walked down into the emergency room. The first words I heard, gangway, gangway. And I knew I had to clear the area. They were bringing them in, taking them to the operating rooms. I set about making sure that we knew what the truth was. What is the truth? And managing the media, because the media immediately started to show up and wanted to know what was happening. We heard that the congresswoman is dead. We heard that there were 2 shooters. The truth. Mayors must get to the truth, and they must talk and speak continuously. For the next 4 days, that's what I did. On Monday, the president of the university invited the president of the United States to come out to the great city of Tucson. And he said, yes, I'll be there. It's Monday, and he'll be there on Wednesday. Oh my gosh. Again, for those that have been through the arrival of the president, that's a major, major event to be planned in 2 days. And he brought a great entourage. And now let's listen to what the president had to say to us. All 14,000 of us in the arena, here are his words.
Rather than pointing fingers or assigning blame, let's use this occasion to expand our moral imaginations, to listen to each other more carefully, to sharpen our instincts for empathy, and remind ourselves of all the ways that our hopes and dreams are bound together. After all, that's what most of us do when we lose somebody in our family, especially if the loss is unexpected. We're shaken out of our routines. We're forced to look inward. We reflect on the past. Did we spend enough time with an aging parent, we wonder? Did we express our gratitude for all the sacrifices that they made for us? Did we tell a spouse just how desperately we love them? Not just once in a while, but every single day. So some loss causes us to look backward, but it also forces us to look forward, to reflect on the present and the future, on the manner in which we live our lives, and nurture our relationships with those who are still with us. We may ask ourselves if we've shown enough kindness and generosity and compassion to the people in our lives. Perhaps we question whether we're doing right by our children or our community, whether our priorities are in order. We recognize our own mortality. And we are reminded that in the fleeting time we have on this earth, what matters is not wealth or status or power or fame, but rather how well we have loved and what small part we have played in making the lives of other people better. And that process of reflection, of making sure we align our values with our actions, that, I believe, is what a tragedy like this requires.
In the arena of 14,000 people, there was a lot of cheering that was going on. And some didn't understand what that was all about. I can tell you, as we were waiting for the president to arrive, and everybody had gathered and it was quiet, a great roar went up from 14,000 people. And I said, what is all that about? Two of the docs that were involved, Dr. Rhee, and you'll hear a lot about Dr. Rhee, and Dr. Lamolle entered the arena, and 14,000 people could not hold it back. It was the mightiest cheer, I think, that I have ever heard, as they honored the people that were out saving lives. But the president set the stage. The mayor, Villaraigosa, gave me a call on, I think, Sunday. Mayor Nutter gave me a call. Mayor Kaus gave me a call. And we said, what can we do to help? I said, Tucson is a great city. It's great in the past. It's going to be great, continue in the future. But why don't we come together? Why don't we bring the mayors together? Why don't we start talking about how we can treat each other better? How we can be kinder to each other? How can we care about each other? And out of that grew the Civility Accord, which is being brought to you today. Madam President, I want to tell you that the staff, Ron, the staff put this together over several days, and it's been brought to you today for your consideration. I will be very pleased to sign the accord, and I'm going to sign it today for Judge John Roll, for Christina Green, for Gab Zimmerman, Darwin Stoddard, Dorothy Murray, and Phyllis Schoeneck, those that gave their lives, and for Gabby, who is recovering, and for the other 12 people that were injured that day. I will sign the Civility Accord because I know every single one of the people that went to see Gabby were kind and loving people. She was that way. They were full of civility. They were full of the things that we want all of our people to be. And for mayors to say, I agree, I'm going to conduct my life the same way. I'm going to conduct what I do. Most of us are elected officials only for the moment, but we are human beings forever. And that's what we need to do. Civility. Civility is the pathway to greatness and to heroes. There was one person there that day that was mad and angry and didn't care about anything. That's not what our life is about. Our life is about caring for our people. Madam President, it's my very great pleasure to be able to sign the Mayor's Civility Accord for my people and for the city and for the country and for all of us mayors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor. Now, collectively, I'd like Mayor Walkup, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, CEO Cochran to come up because this is about all of us mayors. And we will collectively read the Civility Accord. And after reading, I, along with Mayors Villaraigosa and Walkup and Tom Cochran, will sign the document. Then we will continue with our opening session. At the close of this plenary session, the document will be available for everyone to sign so that each of you can demonstrate your commitment to working together as mayors to make ours a more civil society and to be part of this defining moment. Let us now read the United States Conference of Mayors Civility Accord, and it will be up on the screen. On the morning of January 8, 2011, gunshots fired in one of our nation's great cities reverberated through all of America. A federal judge, a 9-year-old girl were among the 6 people killed that day in Tucson. And Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, the target of the shooting rampage, was among the 14 more who were wounded. The pain inflicted on them, their families, and the entire Tucson community is shared by people across our nation.
Regardless of what the motives behind the tragedy in Tucson might have been, it occurred in an atmosphere in which public discourse is often confrontational and lacking in civility. We should use this event as a point of departure to recommit ourselves to building a more civil society in which each person is respected and public and political discourse are aimed at the betterment of our nation and its people and not the destruction of those with whom we disagree. As President Barack Obama said in the January 12th memorial service, only a more civil and honest public discourse can help us face up to our challenges as a nation.
We believe that because mayors are elected leaders closest to the people, restoration of civility must begin with us. We are in a unique position to have a positive impact on behavior, individual and collectively, and to lead by example. While the tragedy in Tucson is the impetus for the Accord, it represents a commitment that we must live on in every mayor in our nation from this day forward.
Through the United States Conference of Mayors, we, the mayors and staff of America's cities, in order to restore civility to our communities and through them to our nation, pledge our commitment to the following principles of civility.
Respect the rights of all Americans to hold different opinions.
Avoid rhetoric intended to humiliate, delegitimize, or question the patriotism of those whose opinions are different from ours.
Strive to understand differing perspectives.
Choose words carefully.
Speak truthfully without accusation and avoid distortion.
Speak out against violence, prejudice, and incivility in all their forms whenever and wherever they occur.
We further pledge to exhibit and encourage the kinds of personal qualities that are emblematic of our civil society. They are gratitude, humility, openness, passion for service to others, propriety, kindness, caring, faith, a sense of duty, and commitment for doing what is right.
The immediate need is to help our citizens through this difficult period. Our long-term responsibility is to work with them to build that civil society.
Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this collective effort. We will now proceed with our plenary session. I want to make an important scheduling announcement. I'm very pleased that the new chairman of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, John Mica, will be coming to our lunch today. He will speak first, and he will speak promptly at 12:30 on the dot. He has specified that he needs to speak at 12:30, so we'll make that so. And I encourage all of you to be in our luncheon room by 12:30 so that you can hear from the chairman on one of our top priorities, reauthorization of the Surface Transportation Act. I would like to take this opportunity now to thank the sponsors of this year's 79th winter meeting: American Beverage Association, Americans for the Arts, American Water, HDR, Sprint, Starbucks Coffee Company, and this year's title sponsor, Siemens. Before I introduce our speaker from Siemens, I want to introduce you to our past president from the great city of Chicago, Mayor Daley. And all of our good friend. Ladies and gentlemen, mayors, Siemens is a $20 billion U.S. business with over 100 U.S. manufacturing sites and more than 60,000 U.S. employees. Yoo-hoo! It is an innovation and technology leader in the areas of energy, industry, and healthcare, and is leading clean technology job creation in the U.S. Siemens has invested more than $400 million and created more than 3,000 manufacturing jobs in the last 4 years alone. As the title sponsor of our 79th U.S. Conference of Mayors winter meeting, it is with great pleasure that I introduce Ms. Allison Taylor, U.S. Vice President of Sustainability for Siemens. Ms. Taylor will explain how Siemens is answering the call to help America and America's cities solve some of our greatest challenge. Allison.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Kautz. And on behalf of our 60,000 Siemens employees, thank you so much for the Civility Accord. I think it's much needed and very well appreciated. Siemens is extremely proud of our partnership with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I'm so pleased to join you all here today. Our work with the U.S. Conference of Mayors goes back several years. As a global company, we know that cities are the engines of the world economy. So in 2009, we partnered with the conference on a study to find out what U.S. mayors felt were their biggest infrastructure challenges. You told us that infrastructure budgets had been adversely affected by the global economic crisis. Many of you said a lack of funding to meet infrastructure needs is a serious problem. More than half of you did not expect your infrastructure budgets to grow in the next 5 years, and many said they will decrease. And most of you said that climate-friendly technologies represent an enormous opportunity for your cities. These results did not surprise us. With over 60,000 employees across the 50 states, Siemens is an integral part of the fabric of the cities across the country. We, too, feel the impact of decaying infrastructure and your reduced budgets, both on our businesses and in the communities in which we live. But rather than bemoan the situation, Siemens has decided to take up the challenge and to help cities around the world to solve some of their challenges. Now, providing answers for cities is a major focus of our innovation and growth agenda. You may ask why any business would focus so much attention on cities when so many are facing severe budget constraints. Well, in 2008, the world passed an historic landmark. For the first time in history, most of the world's population resides in cities. And by mid-century, it will be almost 2/3. This rapid growth of cities ranks as one of the key megatrends of our time, the long-term trends that our focus is upon. Our sustainable focus is on these long-term trends. We see that city infrastructure is being pushed to its limits, and the quality of life in cities is diminishing. Hours spent fighting clogged streets and highways just to get to and from work, brownouts and blackouts in the heat of the summer or the dead of winter due to overloaded and antiquated electricity supplies, bans on the use of water for gardening or lawn care in areas experiencing drought, and overcrowded emergency rooms and overworked healthcare systems struggling to meet the basic needs of our citizens. Our infrastructure is stretched to its breaking point, and yet our population is growing and we're living longer. Living longer might be good news, but these are seemingly insurmountable challenges for cash-strapped and budget-depleted cities. As centers of business and trade, of industrial production, of research and education, of our work life and our cultural life and our home life, cities, large and small, and those of you who run them, face a common challenge. How do you improve the quality of life for your citizens in a fiscally responsible way? How do you address these megatrends, urbanization, demographic change, climate change? How do you do that today? We believe we have some of the answers to these challenges, and we're already leading the way in some areas. We're number one in the U.S. light rail market. We build the most efficient gas turbine in the world. We're a leader in helping transport electricity long distances in an environmentally friendly way. We're a leader in providing water treatment solutions in the U.S. We're a worldwide leader across the smart grid technology spectrum. And we've installed roughly 1/3 of all hospital imaging equipment around the world, including the lowest dose machine available. When President Obama visited our wind turbine blade factory in Fort Madison, Iowa last year, he said, "The country that leads the clean energy economy will be the country that leads the 21st century global economy." We believe the same is true for business, and it's certainly true for cities. Over the last 10 years, Siemens has invested $25 billion in the United States. We're seeing the clean energy economy take hold. 2010 was Siemens' most profitable year ever. In the last 4 years alone, Siemens has invested $400 million, creating 3,000 clean tech manufacturing jobs in cities across the country. For instance, our wind turbine blade plant in Fort Madison has created nearly 755 jobs, with another 115 to come this year. 65% of the people working there are former employees of the companies in the area that had closed or downsized. And they are proud to have jobs, and they are proud to be a part of this clean tech economy. We recently unveiled a 300,000 square foot facility in Hutchinson, Kansas, to build wind turbine engines. Here, 400 new employees will join our growing wind energy workforce. One recent order for our blades and motors by a company in Iowa will be used to power 190,000 United States homes, and that's just one order. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we recently broke ground on a $170 million expansion of a gas turbine manufacturing plant that now employs 785 people. 825 workers will be added to our ranks in the next 5 years to produce those gas turbines. By the way, those new turbines have a record-breaking efficiency of over 60%, leading to huge cost savings for power companies that can be passed along to the consumers. Here's proof that environmentally friendly and affordable, cost-effective power generation are not mutually exclusive. Siemens was recently awarded a contract to build 70 new electric locomotives for Amtrak, and that's great news for riders of Amtrak. It's also great news for a lot of people who are going to have new jobs. An additional 250 people will soon be reporting to work in our plants in Sacramento, California, Norwood, Ohio, and Alpharetta, Georgia. The Sacramento plant itself is powered by 2 megawatts of solar energy, and it already employs 750 people. Cities will be the hub of the new clean energy economy, not just for clean tech job growth, but also for applying these clean solutions to the infrastructure challenges you face and facing our nation. As mayors, this means envisioning your city not as it is, but as it can be. It means water solutions that replace aging infrastructure, while also meeting the demands of a growing population and those industries that consume large amounts of water. It means transportation solutions like light rail, high-speed rail, and the infrastructure for electric cars. It means intelligent traffic management systems that reduce traffic congestion and reduce the vehicle emissions that contribute to your city's carbon footprint. It means a smart grid that reduces the chance of blackouts, allows renewables like wind and solar to plug into the grid more easily, while empowering consumers to use energy wisely. It means a state-of-the-art data center and imaging equipment in your city's hospitals, serving patients more quickly and reducing energy costs. It means weatherized city buildings, old, new, or yet to be built, whether greater efficiency is reducing carbon dioxide emissions or curbing energy and saving money. This is the clean energy economy. This is not some pie-in-the-sky vision, Jetsons cartoon. This is now. These are technologies that drive solutions that exist today, solutions that will lead to the reindustrialization of America, solutions that will create jobs and generate tax revenue so you can deliver the services your citizens expect. Solutions for long-term infrastructure investments that pay maximum dividends to the bottom line, but also have minimum impact on the environment. And the technology is improving every day. Siemens will continue to invest in discovering these clean energy solutions because we believe in the U.S. economy. We believe in the ingenuity of our American workforce. We believe we both should be leading the world's energy renaissance. And we believe that this renaissance begins with you, the leaders of our nation's cities. Thank you, and enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Allison. And before we move on, I'd like to acknowledge our past presidents who are now at the dais and part of the leadership. Akron Mayor Don Pasquale. Past President Mayor Joe Riley of the great city of Charleston. And let me acknowledge and thank Kevin Cox, Vice President of the State and Community Affairs at American Airlines, the conference official airline for this meeting. Kevin, please stand and be recognized. Kevin, where are you? Well, thank you, Kevin. And thank you for your continued support. And thank you for sponsoring our late night buffet on Thursday. So when we come back from the Kennedy Center, Kevin is sponsoring a late night buffet. Lastly, I want to thank the American Beverage Association in advance for their sponsorship of the opening reception tonight here in the hotel at 6:30. Please give all of our sponsors a round of applause. Mayors, it is important that you stop by the registration desk and see Carol Edwards for your tickets to the performance at the Kennedy Center tomorrow night, the celebration of the 50th inauguration of President Kennedy. You must do so by 12 noon tomorrow. Any tickets unclaimed by then will be given away because it's a hot item. This is an event being sponsored by the Kennedy Center. It is not a conference-sponsored event, so we will not be able to assist you after 12 noon tomorrow. So please, stop by and see Carol Edwards and claim your tickets. Let me provide some thoughts on where our organization will be focused over the next 6 months. As conference president, my top priority continues to be job creation, job retention, job growth, and job attraction. The jobs picture for cities and suburbs remain extremely challenging. Unemployment projections released today by the Conference of Mayors and Global Insight show that almost 1/3 of the nation's 363 metro areas still will have an unemployment rate higher than 10% at the end of 2011. Through our updated 2011 Metro Agenda for America, we are pushing an agenda focused on economic development, infrastructure, energy security, and workforce training. All of these investments would primarily create jobs in the private sector and are much more likely to be done in the United States than exported overseas. If that is not a bipartisan message Washington should support, I don't know what is. Now that the election is over, much of the attention in Washington has turned to deficit reduction. As a mayor who has balanced my budget every year, this is something I understand, and every mayor understands. The question is, how should the federal government balance the need to invest in our metropolitan economies as it reduces the deficit? We must work together to explain to Washington and the American people the kind of national investments that are needed to ensure an economically competitive America. We need to get transportation funding directly to the metro areas where the industry jobs and people are located. We need to promote the creation of green jobs that benefit the environment. Washington must reduce unfunded federal mandates and provide flexibility to America's cities and its leaders. And our #1 partnership program, the Community Development Block Grant, must be fully funded. Mayors, as you know, that this program is a federal program that it's the only program that is coming directly to cities. And every administration that we've gone through, and Mayor Pasquale knows this well, it is always on the table and it's always chopped. So mayors, we must stand together to say, make no mistake, CDBG must be fully funded. This does not need to be a debate about providing new money. As we have all learned from the Recovery Act, so much more could be done if we simply get funding away from the states and provide it directly to America's cities. So mayors, we must work together on the messaging of these priorities, and I ask our business partners to be with us. That is why we are having a special mayor's-only discussion this afternoon to discuss our tactics. And I believe that leaders in the private sector who share our goals will join in our advocacy. To help begin this effort, I will moderate a discussion tomorrow among top CEOs and mayors to find common ground. There are many new members of the Congress who are not familiar with our program and probably not familiar with what we do as mayors. We need to reach out to each and every one of these new members, and the best way to do that is through our membership. Members of Congress care most about what is happening in their districts and their states. I need your help to reach out and speak to what programs like CDBG are doing in your cities. I want to thank every mayor here for the encouragement you have shared with me and for the commitment you continue to give to this great organization. I thank you all for your presence here and your continuing support of the issues that matter to us as mayors and to our citizens. And so I thank you, and God bless you. And now, it is my pleasure and great honor to acknowledge and to pay homage to the outgoing mayor of the great city of Chicago. It's sad for all of us because we're losing a great leader and a great mentor to many of us, and to me especially. And my dear friend, the Chicago Mayor Richard M. Daley. Mayor Daley has been voted the highest award given to an individual by the Mayors of America, the United States Conference of Mayors Award for Distinguished Public Service. I was very pleased to nominate Mayor Daley for this award, which was approved by our executive committee. Mayor Daley announced in September of last year that he will not seek a 7th term in office. Having first been elected mayor in 1989, Mayor Daley's tenure will end in May. Like his father, Richard M. Daley served as Conference of Mayors president from 1996 to 1997. Mayor Daley focused on crime and drug control, job creation, reducing unfunded federal mandates, and brownfields redevelopment. The priorities Mayor Daley established for our organization 15 years ago still guide us today. But without question, it was Mayor Daley's leadership in promoting the role of mayors in public education that defined a new agenda for the Conference of Mayors and indeed our nation. Mayor Daley hosted 2 U.S. Conference of Mayors annual conferences and was always a gracious host. So proud of his city and the people who make it strong. And of great personal importance to me, Mayor Daley has fought against partisanship and stressed the importance of cities of all sizes, that cities of all sizes have an equal voice within this organization. In our 79-year history, only 19 individuals have received this honor, and none rival Mayor Daley for his vision for America's cities and mayors. Now, Tom Cochran, our CEO, will introduce a video.
Just a few comments, if I could. The Daley DNA runs strong in this organization. As a young man, I came to know his father. And in those days at the winter meeting, you would be in the staff room, and all of a sudden you would hear these thundering people running out to the front of the hotel. And I said, what in the hell is going on? And people would say, he has arrived. The mayor has arrived. And you would go outside and they had them big flash bulbs. And you would think Greta Garbo had showed up. And they would be flashing them flash bulbs, and they would say, Mr. Mayor, you're going to see the president? I had dinner with him last night. Mr. Mayor, you're going to see the speaker? Saw him this morning. Thank you, boys. Thank you, boys. And he would go upstairs. And when we would get together and when I would talk with him, what did we talk about? I had 3 boys, 3 babies, and he had children, and Mayor Daley and I about the same age. But we were always, I had an incredible opportunity to be involved with Mayor Daley Sr. and his absolutely passion for education. And I used to say that a lot, you know, when things would get a little quiet, he would always say, we got to talk about education. You know, we don't talk about it enough. And so then one day somebody said, somebody from the Biden campaign is here. This was in 1987. And I said, well, Biden wants to come speak to us. And I said, Miss Edwards was working with me then. I said, who is he? He said, his name is Bill Daley. And I thought, wow, I remember that name. So in walks Bill Daley, who is his brother, Secretary of Commerce, and now, thank God, he's in the White House. But, you know, so when he left, I said to Bill, I said, Bill, tell your brother who just got elected that, you know, the annual meeting is coming to town when he takes over, right? So I'm down in Charleston at 89, Joe. And I walked up to Mayor Daley and I said, you know we're coming to your meeting in a few months. He had no idea we were coming. But what a great meeting that was in 1990, and we've had one since then. This award, Mayor Daley will get many awards. He'll get award from architects, the Urban Land Institute, International Fest. This award is about us. This award, Manny, is about this family. Doug, about this family. This award is about a mayor who always showed up there in the morning, raising hell about something and laughing and having fun and loving life in the evening, which is what this organization is about. And so I work for Mayor Daley Sr., I work for the present Mayor Daley, and I look forward to working to the next Mayor Daley, whoever he or she may be. Thank you very much. Mayor Richard M. Daley is truly a mayor's mayor. I really got to know Mayor Daley back in 1990 when he was first elected mayor of Chicago. Of course, he'd been to our annual meetings before as a child with his legendary father, Mayor Richard J. Daley, whom I also had the pleasure of working with. But our Mayor Daley has now served in office longer than any other mayor, including his father. And once he joined us, he immediately made an imprint on our organization. One of his first challenges was to bring the business community into our discussions and our activities. As a result, we created the Mayor's Business Council, which today has well over 100 members. He also challenged us to focus on our public schools. He has been a leader on this issue. He put his own political career on the line when he accepted the responsibility of the public school system in Chicago. Without good public schools, our cities would lose their best and their brightest. Mayor Daley also played a major role in reducing crime in our cities. He and other mayors worked closely with the Clinton administration to implement the COPS program, which has placed over 100,000 new police officers in our cities. Brownfield development is another issue that he brought forward. Today, the Conference of Mayors is one of the leading organizations, helping mayors to deal with this problem area. While Mayor Daley has been a leader on national issues, he has also been the leader in his city of Chicago. He has shown us the impact that a mayor can have on the design of his city. Millennium Park stands out as a spectacular use of public space. Throughout the city, visitors of Chicago see flowers, especially up and down Michigan Avenue. Why? As Mayor Daley simply says, flowers make people happy. and the greening of Chicago. They planted over 600,000 trees, and his leadership on green roofs has been an example to cities worldwide. Mayor Daley welcomes new techniques and a common sense approach to humanizing the city. It was his idea for mayors to share best practices and to learn from one another. That alone has made our organization invaluable. That's why over the past 21 years of his participation in our organization, we are forever grateful for his time, his being with us to fight, to laugh, and to share the life we all love in running America's cities. As a big city mayor, he's always been respectful to the small and medium-sized cities because, as he told me, some of his best ideas come from the mayors of small and medium-sized cities. And while we all hate to see him leave, and we will miss his leadership, we know how much he values time with his family. Finally, let me say this. There will be a mayor who comes after him, just as sure as the sun goes up and the sun goes down. But no one will really take Mayor Daley's place. This organization is blessed to have had him, and the nation's mayors have all learned from this leader who led by doing, by getting things done. Mayor Daley, we salute you for a job well done.
I know. So I gotta say a few words there, but everybody knows that we love you. I don't know, miss you. Mayors, it is my honor and privilege to present Richard M. Daley with the United States Conference of Mayors Award for Distinguished Public Service for outstanding and meritorious public service to the nation's cities. Mayor Daley.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. I just want to thank the U.S. Conference of Mayors for this fine award, and to thank Elizabeth Kautz, to Antonio Villarosa, to Don Pasqualic, Joe Riley, the Mayor of Mayors, to two former mayors, Doug Palmer, Manny Diaz, and many mayors throughout the country for this fine award. I'd like to recognize the one who has truly helped me, my wife, Maggie. Maggie? She's out there, right here, on my left and your right. And to all my commissioners and to my family and those who have supported me as mayor for 22 years. I reflect upon, as Tom pointed out, as a young man coming to mayors' conferences during the summer with my family, and we do an extended vacation in and around the Mayor's Conference. And I was fortunate to have wonderful parents. I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and my grandparents living with us. It was a family that enjoyed one another, but most importantly, my father gave us the values through our religious beliefs, and of course, a quality of education. He said, I will sacrifice for you and your brothers and sisters for an education with a great name. And I was really fortunate to have a father that was president of this organization in 1959 to 60. At that time, President Kennedy was running for president, which is really important, a little insight on that. And his great involvement with the mayors, it didn't matter what size city, it didn't matter where they came from, it didn't matter if they're Democrats, Republicans, or Independents. The thoughtfulness of the mayors throughout this history of this organization. Everybody participating, and the people that I mentioned and others, I gained a lot of ideas from them, talking to them about issues. And this organization has never been divided by partisan politics. We mayors, as my father taught me, we're the closest to the people. They can find the mayor. They can't find the governor. They can't find the president of the county board, congressmen, senators, but they find the mayor. And it doesn't matter what happens. They're going to find the mayor. And after election, those that support you or those that didn't support you, you're still their mayor. And they're going to come to you and ask you about issues. And we have to respond to them because we have built coalitions as mayors over years. And the long-standing re-election of mayors, that means building coalitions. And to me, that's what this organization is all about. And to me, I'm more comfortable with mayors throughout the country and throughout the world. And all the mayors have met mayors throughout the world. There's something about mayors that we get right to the heart of an issue and be able to discuss it and present our answers on that issue as quickly as possible. There's no BS around us. We get right to the heart because our people who we represent demand that we make these tough decisions. In this organization, we know that people do not know municipal boundaries. Sometimes they don't even live in your city, but they're working there, and they're going to find you. And they say, what about this issue? And we do respond to it. And to me, what this organization has done over years is to present a platform for all of us. It doesn't matter what size city you are, doesn't matter what political background you are, dealing with these issues. Education, brownfields, the environment. We talk about streamlining government. We talk about balancing budgets. We know all about this. We talk about bringing the business community with us continually, dealing with all the issues confronting us. They're allies with us. It doesn't matter if they supported us or not. We need businesses to locate in our business. Recently, I just met Don Pasquale in Chicago. Talk about foresight. He's getting Chinese investments in his city. He understands that. And he realizes he's up there talking to investors from China to make sure that his own community is going to have people working and factories rebuilt with foreign investments. And there's nothing wrong with that. And all of us understand that. What he's doing, everybody's trying to do that. Again, foresight, a commitment of looking beyond today. Mayors look farther ahead than anyone else. We always realize there's another mayor going to take our place. And how can we present our city to the next mayor and then help our city to the future? We respect the past, we live in the present, but we always look into the future. And to me, those are the real issues confronting us. And to me, when we talk about what the mayor from Tucson has mentioned earlier, civility, which we've had in this organization, and understand the great tragedy that took place in Tucson. Mayor Walker made a wonderful presentation in signing this document. And we have to understand that civility has to take place in your homes, in places of worship, in the community, and not just in politics. Every place. It's all over. But we know what happens with technology and what's taking place within our own communities, constantly with technology. And what we see in technology, some of us like it, some of us don't. And what a rapid system we're living in a changing society. But get to the heart of issues in America, the violence against one another. I go to meetings and people scream and yell at me, yes. And they make it a point, and they disagree with you, and they're screaming and yelling. That's all part of democracy. They're supposed to do that. But when they have a gun situated on them, that separates you and our citizens from that one individual in our communities that has a gun. There's no civility with that person that has a gun that's talking to you. And most of the time, you do not know that. You do not know that person has a gun. So tragedy in America by gun violence is overtaking us. Violence continually, and not just in Tucson, but every one of our cities. In the large cities and suburban and rural cities, we see far too often violence. It just becomes a normal way of life in America. We should rediscuss the issue of people arming themselves in our cities, all over America, arming themselves, feel protected by a gun and not by words. That, I don't care where you are on gun violence. I don't care where you are in gun regulation, but there has to be common sense about this. It's not an attack upon any constitutional amendment. Until there's a discussion on this, we have a long way to go in America. And then we have to tell the rest of the world how to live with one another. And we have too much gun violence. And I hope there's a discussion on common sense in gun laws in America, and to say that we have far too many guns in our society. I really believe that, because we know as mayors the infliction of violence in a family. We see it continually and on the street continually. All over America. Doesn't matter, there's no sacred grounds at all. And so until America realizes the issues are before them, we have to be able to discuss those. And I believe the mayors have always led the way on that discussion. I'm very, very proud of the U.S. Conference of Mayors really discussing it. People have different viewpoints. We have discussed this. We've come up with common sense regulation, common sense ideas on this issue. And I hope you continue to do that for the sake of your community, the sake of this country. We fought for freedom and democracy. We should not be killing our own on a daily basis. And after that, we talk about, and we know as mayors that continually people come up to us and ask us for jobs. Continually, Mayor, where can I get a job? How can you help me? What can we do? Business leaders are here. And what we have to do as mayors, we are on a diet because we have to balance our budgets. We can't print money, and we can't go into deficit spending. So we're really the budget people of America. And America wants a diet. They're saying, my pocket is empty. Don't reach into my pocket and take more money out of my pocket. Please, I have a family. I'm trying to save money from my family. I'm trying to pay off my mortgages. Please don't reach into it. Hold off for a while. But at the same time, come up with new ideas. And I really believe instead of going to the federal and state government for infrastructure money, we have to go to the private sector as mayors and be able to present legislation in Washington and the state capitol that if private sector come in and invest in major projects that not only affects your city but the region, it can be privately invested. And how do we do that? They get tax credits from a local, state, county, and federal governments. No taxes on the profits, no taxes on the investments that they can have for 10, 20, 50 years. But they're investing in infrastructure. At the same time, be able to put interest money in there and just pay their interest. They're getting something in return. This is the only way we can rebuild America. I believe in that. Government cannot do it alone. We come down to Washington and we think they can, but they can't because the money's not there. And looking at the cost factor continually of government, when you get a grant of $100 million to do something, federal government says we take 10% out, the state takes 5%, that's 15 cents out of every dollar. For what? Just think that we had almost 95% of that money, and they have them take 5% of administration costs in the federal government. This is where we're going to save money. This idea that some way in Washington they have all this money, they don't anymore. Those days are over with until we rebuild this whole economy, dealing with the recession and the housing problem that we see continually in America. This affects rural areas, suburban, and cities. And so that's why I think this conference is always on the cutting edge of creativity, of curiosity of mayors, always thinking beyond what they see, always trying to find out some answer in all these issues. And the mayors on the dais and out there and the former mayors believe in that. To me, you mayors represent, and your families represent, real democracy in America, because the closeness of the people is always there. And this award, to me, represents awards that one of the finest I've ever received, because I think of my father that was president of this organization, and all the time he spent with all the mayors throughout the country. Really reflected upon public service. And I've enjoyed all 22 years as mayor, 10 years as a prosecutor of Cook County of my public life. I have no regrets. I've enjoyed every moment of public service. And I'm glad my father gave me the passion and the interest of our family for public service. And it's not just being elected, it's a non-for-profit boards. It's helping people in the community that my children, my brothers and sisters have done over the years. And I was really fortunate to have a family that said to us that we love you, and we're going to give you an education. You're going to do something with your life, and you'll be proud of. And I thank my wife, my entire family, and of course the people of the city of Chicago, that great I will spirit, a city of immigrants, a city that to me is hosting President Wu from China, coming tomorrow and Friday to the city of Chicago to see a city of immigrants, see a city of racial, ethnic, religious backgrounds, and see really people that want to forge a relationship with the rest of the world, because all of us represent an immigrant community in some way in America. And I thank you for this award. I thank you for your friendship over 22 years. And God bless you, and I wish you the best to you and your families, and the happiness and the respect that you have for your citizens and the citizens hold up for you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's get these two guys in there.
Don't we have a rule against that? Don't we have a rule against that? Good, man. All right.
I'll be joining the ranks.
Did you get my response?
No, I didn't.
Okay, we got a picture.
Thank you. Learned a lot from you, my friend. Hey, my friend. Here you go. Yeah, that's.
Madam President.
Thank you. Hey, Doc.
Mayor Daley, we're not done yet. We want to make sure that we take you all the way to May. And so I'm going to have Tom come up to announce a very important meeting that we're going to be having in Chicago in April. So Mayor Daley, we want to have as much time with you as we can. So Tom?
Well, as some of you might know, this is the 25th anniversary of the Mayor's Institute of City Design. This is the Mayor's Institute of City Design is a partnership we have with the National Endowment for the Arts and the American Architectural Foundation. Jason Schupak is here with the National Endowment, and Ron Bolger is here from the Architects Group. We're going to Chicago to have a national summit on city design, the National Mayor Summit on City Design, April 27 through 29. We could think of no better place than to hold the 25th anniversary on design in the city of Chicago. And as President Couch has said, we will honor Mayor Daley with the arts community, with the architects at that time in Chicago. We will also honor Maggie Daley, who founded Gallery 37, which has been replicated all over the world for involving young people. Now, you'll be hearing more about this, but I just wanted to let everyone in the room know to mark your calendar. You'll be getting notices from us. But for right now, let's watch a video on the Mayor's Institute of the City Design Program. Thank you very much.
How can design help our cities thrive and endure? How do mayors revitalize downtowns and neighborhoods? Where do you invest in infrastructure? How do you make great public buildings? What role does transportation play? These are all challenges mayors face.
It's the public realm. It's the democratic space. It's the heart of the city. Every great town and village and city in the world is a place where its heart has energy, where people come together, the eye contact and the elbow contact reinforce their citizenship and a sense of pride.
For 25 years, the Mayor's Institute on City Design has helped ready American cities to meet the challenges of future growth and changing citizens' needs. More than 850 mayors and 600 designers have participated. At Institute workshops, mayors and urban design professionals share their collective wisdom to help solve specific problems in cities. The interchange sparks lively debate, opens new perspectives, and generates creative ideas.
In a city, every citizen's heart must sing. They're precious heirlooms that we've inherited. I challenge all of us in our country to take the Mayor's Institute to scale, to create a movement. That's my challenge to you.
Our efforts are transforming America's cities and bringing a better quality of life to the people who live and work there. Join us as we celebrate 25 years of the Mayor's Institute on City Design and learn how your city can thrive and endure. The National Mayor's Summit on City Design, April 27th to 29th, Chicago.
With that, our plenary session is adjourned. We will now move to our opening press conference right outside these doors. And mayors, you are all welcome to join me and the other mayors for the press conference, please. And then we have to be right back in here at 12:30. See you all out there.
They want a quick picture with the sponsor.
Oh, yes, Allison.
Allison, Don.